Namaste, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. This is Dr. Danny, physician, astrologer. So excited to be here. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. We are going to have such a fun conversation today. I'm so excited. Let's see, who else do we have here? Just getting all the hellos. Just letting everybody get in. Today's conversation is about Octarine, the color of magic and the metaphysics of light. This is such a cool topic. I'm not going to go too deep into the physics of light. There are plenty of physics explainers out there, science explainers. You can go to their channel and go as deep as you want to about light. But I am going to give you a broad overview of sort of what it is and how we measure it, how we know what we know about it. And then I'm going to bend your mind just a little bit, nothing too earth-shattering. We're going to talk about the metaphysics of light, and then we're going to dive into some of the colors. We're going to explore color magic as posed by Peter Carroll in Liber Chaos. And one of the colors he talks about is Octarine. It's the magician's color. And I have come to understand it as something more of a fourth dimensional phenomenon, something that we can perceive with three-dimensional tools or two-dimensional tools, but nothing that we can really wrap our minds around. And we've talked about the fourth dimension before, that it's, when you're looking at things, you're not quite seeing things in the third dimension, but fourth dimension is more of the whole thing through time. And I think this color Octarine is something that comes from the fourth dimension. And the whole reason I wanted to tie these topics together is because one of the physics explainers that I follow came up with a completely different theory about light and dimensionality. And that, but I'll get into that. So it's going to be a really cool conversation. I'm super excited to share it with you. And then what I thought we'd do after that is go over today's astrology, what's coming, and then kind of give you a little teaser with some decoding. So nothing too intense today. We're just kind of hanging out. It's a beautiful Friday, Venus's day. So who's here? We have 17 in the chat so far. We have fellow traveler. Hello, hello. We've got Brian Hardy. Hey, Brian, how's it going? I'm going to put your waves in the scrolling. Diana Allen is here. She's on the bus. It's hard to type. Beth says my audio's out of sync. What do you guys think? Is it okay? I might have to open up the... Okay. Ultima says the audio sounds good. So it could be on your end, Beth. I don't know. But hopefully it'll sync up as we get into it a little bit. So yeah, that's the conversation. How have you guys been doing with this last lunar cycle? So that's my question to you right now. So I would love it if y'all would let me know. So let's see, that full moon, that was a bear moon, that was a cold moon, that was an eagle moon. That moon was in Capricorn, right over my natal moon, where the sun was. And then the moon was in the late degrees of Cancer, early degrees of Leo. And that's a really tender spot on my chart. So whenever there's like a full moon or a new moon or an eclipse in that space, it's a little bit emotional for me. And it's interesting because Spirit kind of forced me into a corner to work on something that I've had other oracles and mediums and readers tell me I need to do. And so I went ahead and I started working on that project, and I am neck deep in it right now. And so I will probably have an announcement for you next week in terms of that big announcement that I teased about last week. Let's see what else. The eclipse that's coming, guys, this is it. I mean, this last week in February, these next 2 or 3 days, enjoy this new moon, enjoy this lull of energy, because it's going to start picking up. On the 27th, we have a new moon. On the 1st, we have Venus retrograde. On the 14th, we've got the Pi lunar eclipse. And then on the 29th, we've got the solar eclipse. All while Venus is retrograde and Mercury's retrograde. It's going to get really intense. So if you were, and Mars is going direct at the end of, or over the weekend. So if you're kind of sitting in a space where you don't feel like things are moving, get ready. And I really think that the conversation that we had about chaos magic a few months ago, I don't have that link in the description, but if you go back to my previous lives, it was probably October or November. I went through this whole energy about chaos magic. And in Stellar Foundations, I recently did go through the equation of magic because we were talking about why astrology works. So some of you are up to speed on that, but some of you might need to go back and revisit that lecture because I'm pulling in some of that. And then we did also talk about the fourth dimension itself just about a month ago. So all these themes are going to come together today. It's going to be pretty cool. This next new moon, I'm going to do a video on Monday with you guys. It's going to be fun. I want to take you through all the astrology of the new moon because it's the eclipse lunation. So anytime we have a new moon, that's the beginning of the next lunation. So it's the eclipse lunation where the full moon is the lunar eclipse and the next new moon is the solar eclipse. So what I thought we would do is just go through that whole astrology, and then based on your sun sign, I'm going to read for you what area of your life you need to focus on. And for those of you that are astrology nerds and want to learn how to do that, so if you want to forecast for your family and you say, okay, well, what's your sun sign? You can tell them exactly what they need to focus on at every lunation. It's very useful. So if you want to be like a useful, helpful astrologer around the house or in your local community, it's always kind of a cool trick to have up your sleeve. So I'll teach y'all how to do that. And then also I'm probably going to do some decoding because some stuff just came through like today while I was getting ready for this video that I think will be pretty neat to see. On top of that, synchronicities abound in my life. So for this particular talk, Octarine, the Color of Magic, Metaphysics of Light, I have a friend visiting from Florida, and we were hanging out last night. We had just done our nails. We're like, let's watch something funny on TV. So we were looking through Amazon Prime, and The Color of Magic by Terry Pratchett came up. And I thought it was so super synchronistic because I didn't even know that this movie or this book that it's based on existed. I had read, Peter Carroll's work. That's the only reference I had ever heard to Octarine, but apparently it's a thing. So this miniseries is about wizards and about a flat Earth that's placed over 4 elephants and a turtle flying through space. And these wizards are part of this whole plot. And there's an octavo, which has 8 magical spells in it. And the 8th one ended up missing. I won't ruin the story for you, but I'll show you on IMDb where to look for that. It is really light, cute humor. I think it was created in 2008. Sean Astin's in it. Tim Curry's in it. It's just really cool. Who's the other one? I'll show you the IMDb, but so that the synchronicities abound, kind of an emotional moon that forced me into an expressive state where I'm getting ready to just launch something amazing next week, or not launch it, but I'm going to tell you guys about it. And so we're getting ready for the eclipse. The eclipse is happening in my 10th house, 11th house. So it's about public image and collective. So I want to help you guys too. Let's see who's here now. We have 23. Cool. Let's see who else popped in so I don't miss anybody. Let's see. Lady Rox is here. Audio is great. Thank you so much. Awesome. Good. Celtic Thistle Psychics is here. I always want to say physics when I see your handle, Celtic. I'm just going to call you CTP. and I guess you're familiar with Terry Pratchett. Cool. Yeah. So, all right. Awesome. Well, you guys are here. I have your attention. Let me show you some things, and then I'll show you the IMDb, and then we'll look at the sky. I want to take this moment to, I'm shifting some things in my websites and stuff, and I just want to show you what's changed, just so you guys know your way around. And if there's, people are, you want to point them to my stuff, you can show them exactly where to go. So let me share the screen. Spiritually Lucky is here. Hey. All right, let's share screen. Entire screen. All right, so I should be sharing, but I don't like that view. We're going to go to this view. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So I think, no, Monday's going to be the new moon, but later next week, we're going to continue this discussion right here. the dates to watch in 2025. We're going to go through that pi, phi, fine structure, constant, serpent energy. There's some more connections that I'm making. So this should be good. And it will be focused around Venus moving into the retrograde energy. So from now until the end of this month, there's an intense swelling of Venus energy. There's an intense and exponential increase in our creative inspiration. And it's all in the stars of Pisces, which feels really good. And it's right around, with Neptune hanging out. It's just creative. It's expressive. It's just ideas you've never even thought of before. And I want to continue this theme because it really is quite magical. There's all kinds of synchronicities that are playing out through these decodes. So I do hope you guys go check it out. I think Lori put a link in the chat. So if you haven't watched these, go ahead. I've labeled them part 1, 2, and 3 so you can get the pertinent information you need to understand the video that's coming at the end of next week. Here's what I've changed on the website. I've added this personal eclipse forecast if you guys want to do that. I don't need to have had a natal chart reading with you. So if you want to do this, it'll be fresh for me, and what we'll do is read your chart, and then we'll go into what the eclipses are going to mean for you on a personal level. It's linked to the same page where the free chart calculator is. So if you guys ever want to follow along with new moon videos, astrology videos, this is where you'll want to get your chart so you can see what houses things are happening for you. Also on learn.drdanny.com, I've decided that the next Stellar Foundations enrollment period will be in mid-May. So I wanted to make sure people knew that. And then, of course, you guys can always just pick up a class anytime you want. I've got, seminars, if a planet like piques your interest, they're all here. You can check them out. You can learn about Justofucus if you want to. And then you can just kind of taste how my teaching is by doing a free level 1 course or the free Jupiter course. They're both there for you guys. So I encourage you to check out my stuff if you want to get more in depth with what I'm doing. All right, cool. Well, let's see. Heartlight Therapies is here. Hello, hello. Christine Yan is here. Hello, my dear. Thank you guys for coming. This is so cool. This is going to be a good conversation. So with that said, let me move on to the content of the day. And this is the mini series I was referring to. It's the color of magic. So let me back up one. And it was so synchronistic to kind of just run into this and have never heard of it before and to watch it. And it was very entertaining. And the OGs that were in it were awesome. Sean Astin and Tim Curry. And who's the other one? That's why I clicked on this. It was Jeremy Irons. I love this guy's voice. Oh my gosh. So if you guys want to check out that tonight, if you have a few minutes before the energy picks up after this coming new moon on the 27th, then I would definitely watch this. So the color of magic. Let's open the PowerPoint. Let's go back to the beginning. I'm going to go into present mode because I can draw on these and I love to doodle. What color should we do? They don't have Octarine in this palette. Whatever. I guess we could just go with, let's just stay with red. I think red's good. Okay. So Octarine, the color of magic and the metaphysics of light. Debbie at Shifting Veils is here. Love and light. Just listening in. Hey, welcome. Thanks for coming. Lori had her fireplace on. Yeah, we had our fire running earlier this week. I might do one today. It's been so cold here, so awful. I haven't been outside in like 3 days, but that's okay. I've been working and I've been having a great time doing my project. So everything is light. That's the first thing you all need to understand as modern magicians, as star seeds, as indigo children, okay? Light is basically, what we're going to do in this presentation is describe light based on what we already know. Then we're going to learn some very interesting metaphysics of light and sort of cutting edge physics of light. And then we're going to discuss color magic. So what are these colors? What is this band of light that we can see? And what does that mean when it comes to actually being a magician? It's actually fun to kind of look at some of these things, whether you use them or not. And I encourage you to stay with me in with an open mind and a light heart. I'm not saying this is a religious practice or that anybody has to, excommunicate me or anything. We're just having fun today, okay? And then we're going to go into the astrology of today. So what is light? Light is the electromagnetic radiation that can travel through the vacuum of space. Okay, this is the scientific answer you're going to get on Wikipedia. The thing about light is that it behaves both as a wave when it's moving and as a particle when it's interacting with matter. The visible spectrum of light is only a small fraction of the entire electromagnetic spectrum, which includes infrared, ultraviolet, X-rays, gamma rays, and radio waves. And we can't actually see these other waves of light. We only know them by their effect and by shining light on them, so to speak. Light is the primary carrier of information, energy, and life on Earth. So in other words, if it was not for light, for photons, for the wavelengths of electromagnetic radiation, we would not know things would not move, and things would not be animated with life. So it influences everything from biological rhythms to technological advancements. And this stuff's fascinating too. If you all want to dive deeper into this, they've done experiments on humans where they will put them in a room with absolutely no information on what time it is or what time of day it is. And it's interesting to see how the hormones that normally fluctuate in and out throughout the day based on light, how they change when there's no external stimuli of light or photons. Super interesting. Also, our circadian rhythms, that's a big thing. Those of you that live in states where we change the hour, we're going to spring ahead for fun in early March, we go forward in time. That affects people. That there's increased rates of car accidents and heart attacks during that time. So I don't know why we keep doing that. Hopefully that'll stop soon. But light is primarily made of a quantum particle called a photon. And basically, photons only have, so this is weird. The weird thing about photons is what they try to do with the waves of electromagnetism is quantize it, to count it. That's what physics likes to do. They want to go down to the very, very base of what a thing is before it's not that thing anymore. And so a photon is really, really strange. It's emitted from electrons when an electromagnetic wave hits an electron. So if you think of the particle of an electron, which is usually circling around the nucleus of an atom, which is a neutron and a proton. So you got neutrons, protons, and then you've got electrons around that. But that's more like a cloud of probabilities. When a wave of electromagnetic energy propagates through the quote unquote vacuum, photons are emitted when it bumps into those electrons. And that's how we see light. And those processes are described in physics. If you were to study physics, you could learn all about that. So I'm not going to get into any of that. But it's weird because when a photon is moving, and they're always moving, okay, this theoretical particle is never something you can just stop and look at. All you're going to see is the field around it that it affects. You're only going to see the two-dimensional surface of it in a 3D space. You're never actually going to see the photon. You're going to see the probability wave around it. It's really, really interesting. So the wave of light propagates at a fixed speed in a quote-unquote vacuum, commonly called c. And this is called the speed of light, which is approximately 300 kilometers per second. Now, for those of you in the United States, this translates to 671 million miles per hour. That's how fast these waves propagate. And they know that because they've done experiments to test that by having light travel through a vacuum, an induced vacuum that they created, and they measured the time it took for the light to be emitted to the light to be received. And they took the distance and divided that time. And that's what they got. They got the speed of light. So now what's super creepy about light is that, especially the speed of light, is that it's a speed limit. It's something that can't be changed. And no matter where you are, light speed's always the same. And what this does is it twists the geometry of space and time, so that time can be long or short. Time, the measurements of time, it's not exact, so time doesn't flow in a exact linear. It like stretches and it shrinks, and so the idea of light speed and traveling through space time, all the work that Einstein did, made space and time very weird. It made it malleable. Okay, and what it did is it's the more study that we've done on this and the effect of it, and also trying to bring all of this relativistic physics into quantum mechanics, which works really good, even though we can't see why. We get these weird anomalies that make space and time really, really strange, and almost to the edge of metaphysics, to the edge of spirit. This is what, ancient cultures would kind of already know. Like, there's an ancient gnosis that knows these things that we're just getting to at the edge of physics. What's so fascinating about light in of itself is it's not just these light rays that we see. It's not just what we see. It's things that we feel, because there's other energies that don't resonate or don't vibrate our optic sensors. Okay, and you can see this is what we actually see, this little tiny little freaking sliver right here. I know y'all have seen this before, but the visual is stunning when you think about it. If this is actually drawn to scale, and light is used to illuminate the universe, you guys, we're getting a very, very small picture. A very small picture right here. I mean, this is tiny. And what it shows us, like I said earlier, is it's only reflecting off the surface of 3D things. I mean, look at the objects in front of you right now. Are you really seeing the whole thing? Or are you just seeing the surface because of the photons that are reflected off the surface of it? That's it. It's very little information. Very, very little information. And so now that we know this, now that we understand this tiny little slice, just question yourself for a moment. Are you basing your entire belief system, structure, reality, what you know about the universe, space, time, and all of reality on this tiny sliver? You're probably basing a good portion of it. At least you were up until this very moment. Okay? So light is only like a very small thing in this third dimensional realm. Everything else, y'all, is fourth dimensional. Okay, I showed you when we talked about the fourth dimension that I showed you the timeline of a human from infant to old person to death, from basically an embryo to ash. And that whole spectrum of that human through time is the human's fourth dimensional structure, so to speak. That's what we're looking at here. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing just the third dimensional piece of all that is light, of all that can be seen and sensed and understood, but not with the eyes. We use all these different electromagnetics. The reason we know that they're there is because we see their effects, right? We have things that work because of these broader, less sensed light wave frequencies. So we have fiber optics, which helps us communicate across the world. We've got satellites that can bounce those long wave, those long frequency waves to each other. We even have astrology, where light reflects off of those planetary bodies and back into our eyes, portraying to us geometric codes and energies that we've become knowledgeable of, not through our visual awareness, but through our knowing, as souls. So what light is not? Light is not just illumination. You can turn the lights off and be completely in the dark. It is encoded information that can influence matter and consciousness. Indeed, there's electromagnetic waves that they can send through the air that can create voices in your head. I remember this phenomenon, y'all, when they were trying to get everybody to get that shot. And there were people that were coming online and saying, I've been getting like a sense that there's this energy saying, oh, you should just go ahead and get the vaccine. Like, just play along, just go ahead and do it. Almost like it was coming externally from them, And that's a thing. You can research that. That's the thing. I'm not saying it. That's not me making it up. That's just what I've seen out there. Light is not bound to a single form. It exists in multiple wavelengths, many of which are invisible to the human eye. And this is that fourth dimensional quality of light. Light does not need a medium to travel in. Unlike sound, which requires air, light can move through the vacuum of space. But as magicians, we don't really believe in the vacuum of space. The vacuum of space is AKA the quantum ether. It's chaos. It's where you can go outside of time and space and create. Light is not static. Its nature can shift depending on observation, interaction, and even consciousness, as seen in wave-particle duality. And what I'm going to tell you about light and about what they're figuring out about physics and dimensionality is that we don't even need the wave-particle duality anymore. Light is not purely physical. It has spiritual, metaphysical, and quantum properties that extend beyond its classical definition. So here's our wavelength of light again. And so hopefully whenever you see this graphic anywhere out there in the internet, in the web sphere, you appreciate it. That old statement, like, believe none of what you hear and half of what you see. And I would say that's an excellent statement, but you could also say only believe 0.01% of what you see because everything else is also information. Okay. Because there's this crazy thing that happens when we're trying to see light, when we're trying to see these other realms of the electromagnetic spectrum and to describe and analyze their quote unquote quanta to get to the granularity of it. A phenomenon emerges called the uncertainty principle. Basically, what it means is there are a certain set of properties, that's duality of properties. And one example is position and momentum, but there are others like magnetism and spin and things like that. But if you just take position and momentum, for example, you cannot know a particle's position and its speed is essentially what it's saying. Because it's so small, because it's so fine, because it's simply merely not a particle, like this apple that I would hold in my hand or this pen that I'm holding in my hand. It's literally just a wispy field of fourth dimensional vibrations that barely pops into our existence, that we can almost sense. So we can know where it is in a moment in time, but we cannot know how fast it was going. Likewise, when we measure waves, we know exactly how fast it's going, but we can only give a probability of where it might be. And so this is what happens. There's this uncertainty that emerges because it's in a hidden dimension. So here's the wave-particle duality problem. So right now we say light is both a wave and a particle because it behaves like a wave when unobserved and collapses into a particle when it is measured. You all have seen that famous double slit experiment. If you don't know what that is, I don't know how you don't, but you could just type it in YouTube and you will get a ton of videos about it that will explain it and explain it and explain it. In fact, a lot of physics and science explainers don't even want to tell you about it anymore because it's so famous. Everybody knows about it. The idea was that they shone a bunch of light through two slits and they got an interference pattern on the detector screen, suggesting that light travels like a wave. When they did it with one slit, it looked like it was a particle. If they observed it before it hit the detector, it acted like a particle. But if they didn't observe it before it hit the detector, it acted like a wave, suggesting that, our observations actually create reality. And that's true to some extent. But there's a lot of things out here that make that really, really an unintuitive statement. There are things in this physical reality. There are things that we touch and we feel and we taste and we interact with all the time. So it could be that it isn't a contradiction at all. It's just an artifact of observing this fourth dimensional phenomenon, which we are calling light. We're just observing it from a lower dimension, which is where we are right now. Remember the example of that two-dimensional being perceiving a 3D object only in cross sections, right? It doesn't look like the thing it is. If you try to show an apple to a two-dimensional creature, they're only going to see the line of the circumference of that slice of apple that's moving through that 2D plane. That's the same thing that happens with fourth dimensional energy for us. It pops in and it pops out. And that's exactly what we see at the quantum level. We see photons, electrons, polarities popping in and out of existence chaotically, super sensitive to our thought forms, super sensitive to ideas and actions that we take in the third dimension. So anyway, that's what I've been thinking about. And then all of a sudden I come across this video where this his name is Chris the Brain. He doesn't have a lot of videos, but he did come up with a new theory about light as a 4D phenomenon. And so what he did is, instead of thinking about our spatial dimensions where we are right now, that up, down, in, out, right to left, that we actually have a fourth spatial dimension instead of three. It's just hidden. When we open our eyes and the light reflects back to us, we cannot see this fourth spatial dimension. He does it mathematically if you're interested and you want to check that out. But if you want to just take my word for it, it's super simple. It's so much simpler than string theory, than all of these other crazy 11-dimension mathematics. If we just think of space as having 4 dimensions with one that is hidden, then light can fully exist in this fourth dimensional space, while we only experience its projections in 3D, its shadows, its reflections. Okay, and that would explain why we only see that one little tiny sliver that feels real. Okay, so it only has one aspect of it that's actually third dimensional. And it reflects off surfaces. It doesn't actually show us its fourth dimension because it's from the fourth dimension. So photons are not just particles or waves, but are actually 4-dimensional objects moving through our 3D slice of reality. So this could explain why photons seem to exist in a probability field. They may actually be extending into structures in 4D space that collapse when observed. So just a little bit of mind candy for y'all to, marinate over. I think it's super interesting. Here's his arguments for why this would resolve, light's strange properties. So light speed as a dimensional constraint. A lot of you, when you think of, a lot of you are like expansive, iconoclastic, mold breaking type of thinkers. And when you hear something like a speed limit, you're like, hold my coffee, watch me. I'm going to go faster than light. I'm going to have anti-gravity. We're going to have free energy. That's what people in my generation, in my litter of souls believe, that, this is all so silly. There is no speed of light. So in our current understanding, we have an absolute speed limit. But if light were a function of 4D spatial dimensions, its apparent speed might simply be a projection effect. So in other words, we only perceive it as traveling in the third dimension. But in the fourth dimension, there's no speed limit. Quantum entanglement as a 4D connection. So if 4D light is a structure, for example, then 2 entangled photons wouldn't be transmitting information faster than light. They'd be already connected in this hidden fourth dimensional space. And the math is so much more elegant and simple, which is why I'm pushing this. Where distance as we know it doesn't actually apply. This is kind of astrology, right? Like, we've got Mars way the hell over here. All we see is Mars's light, Mars's reflection of the sun in our eye. And it's so distant from us. How in the world could Mars get us angry or make us take action from that far away? Whereas if it's merely the third dimensional representation of the connection of the light of Mars within us, within our internal cosmos, we could be fourth dimensionally connected to that as beings of light. Superposition is another weird thing that quantum physics does. And so that could be a 4D overlap too, right? So if a photon seems to exist in multiple places at once until it is observed, that could mean it's simply stretching through 4D space and we only see one slice of it. This is so much more elegant, right, than wrapping your mind about all of these quantum physics energies. Simply accept that there's a fourth dimension. So when you move 3-dimensionally around an object you're observing, there's always a fourth dimension that's hidden from your view. This can also explain why light has no mass. That's right. Why do you call it matter if it doesn't even weigh anything? So photons have energy, but they have no mass when they're just resting. So when we know where a photon is, it weighs nothing. So if light were a 4D structure, then its mass could be hidden in that extra dimension, and we only detect its energy in our 3D space. So yeah, I just think that is a cool way to think of it. And so if light as the fabric of a higher dimensional space, if light's a function of the fourth spatial dimension, then maybe there's an entire universe made of this dimensional light energy. This aligns with ancient mystical teachings that describe light as the primary essence of reality. It would also suggest that gravity, time, and consciousness may also be functions of this 4D framework. And that's what we're working in. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to expand our fourth dimensional awareness. And my friends, we have so much work to do, but we are breaking ground. We are getting there. So if we are 3D beings observing fourth dimensional light phenomena, does this mean higher states of consciousness allow us to perceive more of light's true nature? And I would say yes. Things like out-of-body experiences, lucid dreams, mystical visions, sightings of ghosts, they could be moments where our minds temporarily perceive the higher dimensional reality of light. I mean, that would be kind of cool, right? To think of it that way. If photons don't truly travel in the way that we think, could time itself be a perception artifact caused by how we experience light's projection into our reality? That's so cool. I love all that. That's just amazing. So yeah, Chris the Brain is the person I'm referring to who put me onto that. So I hope you guys will check him out. I have some more for you, but I just want to check in and see how everybody's doing. How are you guys? How was that? I don't see you talking a lot, so that means I must have had you mesmerized. Awesome. Let me look here. Let's see. I see some stars. I see some, oh, Lori put a brain candy. Yay. Oh, Sonny's here. Hello, watching from the beginning. Much love to all. All right. Good. Yeah, so I'm just catching my breath because what we're going to do next is go over color magic. Like what are colors? What does that mean when we say color magic? And it's really interesting because when we think of the 7 colors of the rainbow, and we talk about what white means, what black means in terms of color and its frequency and its vibration, then there's some other subtler colors that that we can work with too. And then of course there's Octarine, which is the color of magic. And so I'm not sure really what Octarine actually looks like for you. I know what it looks like for me, and it's not a color you can describe. So we will dive into what that might mean for us. Much to think about, Brian. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yeah, Brian, Chris the Brain really blew my mind when he did that math, because you know I actually like math. It's not hard for me. I did very well in school when I studied math, and so when they get the equations up there, you know, when they started talking about string theory and 11 dimensions and quantum field functions, I just like my eyes glazed over. I'm like, why? This is not helpful. I mean, it's helpful if you want to get into that and use that for the practical engineering and electronic applications. But for some reason, it seems like there's a better way to explain it. And just adding a fourth spatial dimension really helps a lot. And this is a space, guys, where we can access it, but it's in that meditative state, the binaural beats that get us into that theta wave right at the edge of theta and alpha, where you're hypnotizable. Whenever you're zoning out or daydreaming, you're in there. You're using fourth dimensional light. If you've ever had a lucid dream, it's just the way you can. It's almost easy and fluid, and I think that's what that light looks like. Oh, let's see. Brian has a question. Just an offhanded question on the topic of colors. What do you think about colors for chakras? How accurate are they? Well, funny you should say that, because I am associating the colors with the chakras. And I think they are accurate. I think they're helpful simply just because of the way human beings process color and what their vibrations do to us energetically. It's a real thing. But what's interesting about chakras, because I believe chakras are channels of fourth dimensional light, when we think of a color in third dimensional light, it is actually a reflection of that color. It's not the color. So whatever the color that thing really is, it isn't red, but we call it red because we see red, but it's actually only a reflection of that. And then Brian says, maybe outside of this third dimensional light, it just is. It doesn't need to travel. 100%. Cool, you guys are getting it. Awesome. All right, let's talk about color. I'm on this one. I don't know why I keep switching to that view. It's kind of annoying. Octarine. Okay. Back to present mode. Okay, so red. This page is taken right from Peter Carroll's book, Liber Chaos. Figure 10, The Colors of Magic. So red is war magic. It is the reflection of red wavelengths. That is how our eyes says, yes, that is red. But if you want to think of it fourth dimensionally, it's everything not red. If you really want to think about what it is fourth dimensionally. However, because red is a color that we see, then it connects to us the energies of everything that is not red that is being reflected red. Okay, and that'll be the case with all the colors. So hopefully that makes sense. If you need to rewind me and listen to that again, basically, when you see a red thing and its energetic frequencies are vibrating towards you and affecting your field, it is actually everything that is not red, because the only thing that is reflected back is red. You see red, you process red, you say, these vibrations make me feel this when I see red or when I feel red. Okay. Or when you feel red, you will see red behind your eyeballs when you close your eyes. It is associated with the root chakra. Okay. So the base of your spine, right there at the tip of your tailbone. So this is safety. This is security. This is being anchored. Okay. It's associated with planet Mars. So it's war magic. It's bravery. It's initiation. All right. So that's red. And so what does that mean? So I guess if you're in a space where you're feeling, a lot of people will use colors like what they wear, their jewelry, the color of crystals. They'll associate the colors that are within these other objects to help them with bravery, assertiveness, courage, things like that. So, I actually used to know a lot about crystals. And funny thing, I have my little Aries pyramid sitting here in front of me, which is associated with Mars. So, and it's got the color red in it because that makes us think of Mars. The planet, the color of Mars is red when we look at it in the sky. Orange is thinking magic. Okay, so the reflection of orange wavelengths. It is everything that is not orange. And I won't beat a dead horse, but just so you understand that when you close your eyes and you feel and you think of orange, the wavelengths of orange, it is everything that is not orange. But when you open your eyes, it will be, because it's reflecting light back to you. This energy is typically associated with the sacral chakra, and it's creativity. It's the sacral chakra anyway. This is where the color of magic and the chakras diverge a little bit, Brian, just for some subtlety. Typically people will think of the sacral chakra as creativity, as sexual energy, as your creative flow, also about security, about trusting the universe, about self-worth. But for magic, when you think of orange, it helps you with your thinker, helps you with your intellect. It helps you process information. So if you are getting ready for a test, for example, then you would want to sort of close your eyes, get into that theta state, and bring in the color orange for yourself. And that will help you with your mind. That'll open up and relax your brain so that you can think and pull in knowledge faster. So yes, subtly there is some divergence here with the chakras, but I did try to make the association. Yellow, again, is the reflection of yellow wavelengths. So the sun is not actually yellow, it's everything other than yellow. And the solar plexus, which is the center of our body, right there above the navel, just below the rib cage, center of the body, there is actually a plexus of nerves there called the solar plexus. And a plexus is like, it's just where all the nerves end and talk to one another. So this space is really important because it's connected to like everything in the gut. It's the lymphatic system for the gut there. Yellow is associated with our sun. This is ego magic. This is success. So if you want to be noticed, if you want to get accolades, if you want to win a prize, yellow is the way to go. It's also happy energy. So if you want to bring happy thoughts or happy vibrations to your space, you want to imagine the color yellow. And this is all mental work. This is all thought forms. And like I said, you can channel that out into crystals, into artwork and drawing, into how you want to decorate your room. There's all kinds of work that people do with colors vibrationally to get a certain mood to come through. And that's essentially color magic. Green, again, is the reflection of green wavelengths. I often heard that green is God's favorite color. So if you look around and outside in nature, you're going to see a lot of green. And so I would support that. Green is love magic, which we associate with the creator, the unconditional love, associated with the heart chakra, the moon. This is love magic and glamour. So if you want to look beautiful, you want to be loved, you want to give love, you want to draw love to you, green is the energy for that. Green aventurine is a wonderful stone for love magic, especially if you mix it with citrine and rose quartz. Put those three together, and it's like abundance and love, the abundance of love. So we put moon with green. Blue is wealth magic, and this is again where they diverge because typically we'll put Mercury here with the throat chakra, but Jupiter is associated with the blue color of the wealth magic. So if you want to bring in abundant, not just wealth of like money, but just wealth of everything, huge, expansion of things. This is also truth because it is associated with the throat chakra. So you can't really have true abundance without truth. Anything that's built on false, built on lie, ultimately crumbles through the influence of actually black magic. But we have one more to go through, and that's purple or silver. This is sexual magic. This is desire magic. This is that, I feel it in my body and I have to have it. The crush energy, that is this. And this can be summoned through, the tantric practices, sexual practices, and things like that. We'll associate Venus with this. This is also third eye chakra. The third eye chakra and the sacral chakra are actually connected in your own probability orbital shells of energy. So this is a nice connection because you can actually get visions through using sex magic and desire magic. So again, it's the reflections of the purple wavelength or the violet wavelength. Then there's black magic. So black is literally the reflection of no color. So in terms of what we are seeing, and I want you guys to stop right now with any judgments of good, bad, evil, right, wrong, right here. Okay, this is merely the reflection of something. So we're gonna look at this, and we're gonna do it without fear. We're gonna just analyze what black magic is. If we think of light, and we've been discussing light, at least the way we see light with our 0.01% perception of the visual spectrum, we see no color. Which means that it is the summation of everything else. It is all colors. It is every color. Okay, so just because it's black doesn't mean it's bad. Just because it's death magic doesn't mean it's bad. It simply means that it is not giving us any light that we can see. It is all light. Now we can associate the energy of Saturn with black and death magic because Saturn is the limit. It's the end. It's the limit of what we can see beyond that barrier, at least that we self-impose. So this is chaos magic. This is the void. This is Nyx. And I refer back to that discussion of chaos magic back in October and November. Okay. This is This is where magicians can go into the shadow time or pseudo time and create, because there's nothing to hold on to. It's a fresh, clean slate. It's not the end. It is the beginning. Okay? So try not to get too gloomy with black magic. White magic. Now, this is interesting because white magic is the reflection of all color. Okay? So what might that mean for its fourth dimensionality? Meaning that white is the fullest representation that we can get of fourth dimensional color. So white is what color fourth dimensional light is. It has to be. At least that's what it is for us in third dimension, because it is all colors combined. If you take red, blue, and green and you combine those and you shine a light through it, you're going to get white. It's associated with the crown chakra, which is spirit energy. It's galactic energy. It's creation magic, at least in this physical realm. Okay, we summon spirit to inspire us, to bring us through, so we can, as prisms, which is what we are fourth dimensional prisms of light that project our 3D spectrum here into the very small and finite band of light that we exist in. Okay, so those are these 7 primary colors here that you see. And the eighth color is Octarine. So here's our 7 colors. And instead of thinking of Octarine as an 8th spoke in this wheel, I'd like you to think of it as this representing that 4th spatial dimension we've been talking about. But I'm representing it so that you can, quote unquote, see it. Okay? Think of it as coming out of this spoke of 7. So hopefully that makes sense. But it's in that hidden dimension. So you can see it because I'm drawing it to represent it, but you normally can't see it. Okay? All right, so what does that mean? So that means Octarine is a color, as we can very limitedly define what color is, that is unique to each individual. So in other words, you are channeling this pure white light as a prism of light for spirit to express itself, and your frequency bands, your spectroscopy, your personality, your astrological chart is that filter through which your light comes through. Okay, and so that's your visible spectrum, but there is an energy inside of you that is Octarine. It's Octarine. It's your magic. It's associated with Uranus, so it is unique. But it is the one color that you can't see that is uniquely you. So it depends on what kind of magic you dabble in, right? Like right now, I'm probably doing a little bit of orange, yellow, and green magic with you guys. A little bit of orange and yellow for thinking and presenting, and green magic for love. So my Octarine might be some kind of blend of orange, yellow, and green right now in this present moment. Whereas when I'm at work and some dumb things are happening, I might channel my red magic more, my red and my yellow. Okay? You're trying to get that amazing job, you're going to be channeling this blue and this orange. But it's going to be a blend. It's going to be your blend of Octarine magic. So when you think of Octarine, just think of this as your palette, this spectrum of colors spread before you that you can use to create and to paint, for lack of a better word, reality around you. Okay, so that is my presentation on light and color. And what I would like to do now is talk to you about the astrology of the day. This is today. This is basically a few hours ago when I ran this chart. Just some things to look at, things to notice, like where we are in the flow of these energies. What you're seeing right here is a static image of the actual sky. So this is the horizon, and then everything above this line is what's in the sky when I ran the chart. Obviously, it's daylight, but if I dimmed out the sun, I would see Mercury and Saturn rising in the east. I would see the moon in Scorpio. This is such a great time for me. I love it when moon's in Scorpio and Ophiuchus. It's like this, it's just so deep and so profound. And I have so many aha moments. And I'm telling you guys, this is where my great content comes from whenever the moon's through this space right here. So we got moon over there in Scorpio, which is beautiful. Tropical astrology is going to tell you the moon's in Sagittarius. And they're going to be prematurely channeling these Sagittarian energies when the cosmos wants us to bring through these deep energies about the moon. Okay, so sun is in Aquarius. I think today they transit into Pisces, don't they? The tropical astrologers, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's right around now, right around today. So they're going to tell you the sun's in Pisces. We're not even close. We are still dealing with these Aquarian themes, which are nice. It's futuristic thinking. It's like a breath of fresh air after coming out of Capricorn. I feel like people are finally coming together, finally understanding, maybe looking forward to things, making plans for the year. I mean, you see a lot of people doing that, don't you? I'm certainly planning for trips for the year. Let's see. Mars, this guy right over here in Gemini, is very still right now and will station direct, I think, over the weekend. So again, if you're feeling like there's a pause in your life, this energy is going to start moving forward, and it's in Gemini and it's brilliant. So get ready. Get ready for all kinds of ideas and plans to start happening over the next few days. That's going to be big. Mars is in a trine to Mercury too, as he is doing his station and then moving direct. So this is brilliant forward. And Mercury's in Aquarius, guys, which is the same sign as the sun. So your mind should be on fire the next couple of days. Hopefully you're getting some creative insights, creative downloads, or maybe you're just watching some really inspiring things that are inspiring you to take action on something. So this is all really, really great energy. The only thing that might be a little bit tough is that Mercury is super talkative and not in a nice way with Jupiter in a square. So you might like open mouth, insert foot kind of energy over here that might upset the calm balance of Taurus. And it's also, at least today, we are in a T-square with the moon, but this won't last through tomorrow. Once we are actually in Sagittarius, this won't be a T-square anymore. But this is happening, this Mercury Jupiter thing. So I guess the diary of the mouth may be talking too much. That's probably why my presentation's already an hour for today. So not bad energy, just, how do you use it constructively? We'll teach some really valuable information. That's how I'm using it. Venus is in a sextile to Jupiter. This is a nice energy. This is lasting until way into middle of March. So when the millionaire and billionaire planet get together, and they're also in opposite dispositor relationships, meaning that Venus is in Jupiter's traditional house of Pisces, and Jupiter is in Venus's house of Taurus. So they're jiving, they're hanging out. And with Neptune in Pisces, it's always just a really creative and wonderful party. So that just feels good to me. Today, we're trying to the moon with Venus, fertile for creative expression. I love it, going deep. Scorpio's in my 7th house, so it's relationship energy. So we'll see. And then Pluto, of course, is making this trine sextile to our lunar nodes as a collective, conjunct asteroid Lilith. So we're all just kind of feeling this deep urge to break free from all the old things that have been holding us back and keeping us from expanding. I mean, it's really amazing when you so this whole discussion about a fourth dimension being just a spatial dimension and just something that we just can't see, but it's there, and that's where light lives, and simplifying the math feels like this kind of Lilith Pluto. Like, we've made math so hard. We've made physics so hard. We've made the understanding of the particulate and how energy works so difficult in physics, when it can be just so elegant and so simple and geometric. And it allows us to have profound insights on how reality works. Virgo is all about reality. And it's coming from a mystical place, it almost feels like. So I like that. And then I love this grand trine that Pluto Lilith are doing with Uranus and our South Node. Look at that. Uranus, the astrologer, looking beyond the boundaries, becoming the expert so that you can break the rules. That's the part of Uranus they don't tell you. That's why Uranus can bring you a lot of anxiety and upset in your life. You actually have to master the thing you want to break before you break it. So that's my Uranus tip of the day. Cool. Diana says she can play the energies of light on the piano. That's amazing. That's pretty cool. Well, I think music is the color palette of sound. That's how I see music. And if I close my eyes and I listen to a beautiful symphony, or even a cool rock song with a different riff, I've played every single instrument. I know how to play them all. So for me, I can single one out and just deliciously enjoy that color or that instrument for a minute, and then switch to the drums, and then switch to the bass, and enjoy the expression of each of those particular colors. So yeah, music for sure is color. We can get into a sound lecture. I think that might be actually kind of fun to do a sound lecture. I have a couple more slides for you guys. Just some cool, just to get you excited about the next video, because we're going to do some decoding next time. Today's date is 2021, 2/21 of 2025, and that is 68, which is 14, which reduces to 5. So this is today's energy. It is connected to the sun. It is the spirit of adventure, the spark of change, and the freedom to explore. This is from cosmicsugar.org under numerology. So this is an energy of adventure, curiosity, personal transformation, spirit into matter. The color yellow. So there's a color we can work with. It's but also blue. So apparently 5 has got also blue and yellow. So if you go back to that color wheel that we worked with, then we've got wealth energy and ego energy. So today might be an energy about, like expanding into your creativity. So it's a fusion of vitality, authenticity, thoughtfulness, harmonies, blending creativity, enthusiasm, and self-assured leadership. So that's fun for 5. It's the 52nd day of the year today, which points to a deck of cards. So there has to be a card for today, and it is the 4 of diamonds. Now, the 4 of diamonds, this is the energy that you can get from It's All in the Cards. And this is about security and stability, also being responsible and being in integrity. So this is that Saturn energy kind of moving into Pisces, right? Energy like this is well suited for being the foundation. So there's an energy of stability, but also restlessness. Because if you don't actually have the foundation at the bottom exactly the way it should be, then we can feel a little bit out of balance. So there's a tendency to want to reach for some security today, even in the spirit of adventure. This is also dreamer energy. So yeah, I think just kind of grounding ourselves in the situation that's around us, maybe looking at objects in a different way than we did before this presentation. Like, okay, I'm seeing the 2-dimensional surface of this 3-dimensional object, but there is a 4th physical dimension to it, and I'm only seeing a sliver of that through the reflection of the light in it. So that might be something we can think about. The 4 of diamonds is associated with the 4 of pentacles, which is also security and stability. And it's card number 68, which is Saturn in Pisces. And, I actually might have forgotten to mention that on this slide. That's happened. That's been happening. Let's do that real quick. Sorry to go out of order. But this right here, this is big, you guys. I'm gonna touch on this, and then we'll be done with the presenting part of it. But yeah, here's Saturn in 0 degrees of Pisces. This is huge. This is going to be a 3-year transit. So from June 2020 or February 2025 to February 2028, Saturn in Pisces. This happened 28 years ago. So if you can think back in your life, what was going on and the themes around that might be helpful for you. But Saturn's structure, Saturn is time. Saturn is reality. Saturn is lessons learned. Saturn is the teacher. Saturn crystallizes your decisions, conscious or unconsciously. And Saturn's moving into a really slippery, mystical, dreamy, kind of dark, can't really see with your eyes kind of a space, you know? And so I don't know, I just feel like this is a Saturn that doesn't care about time. This is a Saturn that loses all the boundaries and structures that he's been used to. And for some people, this might be a very difficult time because we cling to those things. We cling to these objects. You know, I'm looking at my coffee mug. Man, if I lose this coffee mug, I'm a sad person. And I do try to leave it everywhere, you know, but this is a Saturnian object for me. And so if that coffee mug disappears, Saturn and Pisces, I kind of have to be like, all right, it wasn't mine anymore. I guess I'll get another one, or maybe I don't even need coffee anymore. You know, like that's kind of how Saturn and Pisces is going to deal with the loss of things. So for those of us that are extraordinarily attached to certain things, we may have a sad time as Saturn moves through the space. But it's also an interesting space to embrace or to encode or to codify or to create foundations for spiritual things outside of our reach right now. So that's certainly a possible energy. This can be used constructively. It's just a matter of perspective. And, you know, it's funny. I always read like 12th house Saturns as old souls. And so Pisces is associated with the 12th house. And Neptune's there. Like the host is home in Pisces. Venus is there hanging out. It's all really good, warm energy. And Saturn's coming in there being all serious. Because Saturn is an old soul. And I think that a lot of us are going to be revealed. The old souls that are out there will also be revealed during this time, because this is the place where Saturn, the old soul, can express himself. Now, will we see them out in public with a megaphone? Probably not. We're probably going to find them in the country, maybe in a beach hut, you know, maybe there's a billionaire somewhere sitting on the side of the road with his guitar and a hat, completely anonymous, just wanting to play guitar and beg for tips just to see what that feels like. You know, that might be some kind of way to use the Saturnian energy to just completely like be something else. It's a great place to try that on. And as an old soul, we know all of those manifestations of ourself. So yeah, it could be an interesting time, you guys. All right, so that is that. And then, of course, so Saturn and Pisces being 68 is a beautiful synchronicity. So next, new moon video on Monday. I'm gonna take you through your sun sign, what this lunation will mean for you based on your sun sign in the tropical or in the constellational sky. If you do tropical, you'll have to kind of switch your sun sign for me. So we'll do that live by sun sign, and I'll show you how to do it. And then also the Venus retrograde decode will be next Friday at 12 o'clock. And then you guys, links are below in the description. If you need a reading for this time frame, please go ahead and do that. Those of you that are linked in with me should have your discount codes. If you want a discount code, email me. I'm happy to give you one. Subscribe to my channel if you're lurking. Like this video if you loved this content. And of course, share this video. If you get into a conversation with somebody about light, about metaphysics, about the fourth dimension, please share my content with them, because you know, I'm trying to bring this practice of astrology to a modern perspective. Like all these old school and traditional interpretations are fine, but I don't think we really need it for predictive astrology. We need it to know how to resonate with what's coming. And our charts teach us that. So if you guys want to hang out with us at the Fellowship of 13 Signs, that link is also below. And I think that's everything. You guys have any questions? Anybody want to ask me anything? Let's see. Let's see if there's any comments. Oh yeah, Brian, you're about to have a Saturn return. You're probably in it, actually. Krista says, thanks for making this video. I've been seeing this color and have lacked the vocabulary to put words for it. Yeah. So any weird colors in your visions that are not the standard 7 colors, it's probably Octarine. And if you guys are musically inclined, or if music moves you, like every time I hear music, I get tingles in my crown chakra, especially someone playing music. If I close my eyes, I see my octarine. Cool. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Brad, for sharing that with Waters Above. Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, look, you guys, on Monday night, please come with your questions and your sun sign so you know, so we can interact a little bit. Spiritually Lucky asked me what to expect on the chaos energy face this lunar cycle before the full moon. Well, I think it's going to be spectacular because I actually love chaos. I love change. Um, it's Mercury and Venus, so that it's personal energy. Okay. You have to think of what's going on with you personally right now. So for me personally, I've got this channel. I've got my work that I do. That's my sort of not 9 to 5, but 24-hour shifts every once in a while kind of thing going on. I've got, my relationship with my husband, my relationship with my family. I have all those things that I'm personally, spending energy on. And so when I look at the eclipse, I'm going to say, okay, where is that? What house is that in for me? And so early Pisces is 10th and 11th house. This is my community. This is my public image. So I feel like this is a creative surge personally for me in this space. So I am going to be nimble. I'm going to be ready to start a new channel, to create a new product, to drop a phone call when we need to. Okay. So I'm going to be ready in those ways to do, to work with that chaos energy. Now, if it was in let's say it was in my 7th house, then there could be some chaotic energy around my relationships, right? Like somebody could come in and make my heart beat really fast and make me think about my commitments, or, my partner could do something that's crazy and, changes the way I see them. That could happen with this kind of energy. And so you would want to be nimble in the relationship energy. If it happens in your 3rd house, there's knowledge. There's truth coming in, and you've got to be nimble with your belief structures. So yeah, we're going to get into that as we get closer to the eclipses. And if you do a personal reading with me, you're going to get the deep, you're going to get the down low, you're going to get everything. Okay. So let's see who else. Let's see. Cool. Good. All right. Cool, guys. Well, I am going to leave you with the top 10 reasons why you should study astrology. And then I'm going to see y'all Monday night for the new moon astrology decode and read through the sun signs. All right. Here we go.